Hi everybody, this is David Scott. Welcome back to the latest screencast for English 102. Well, you finished Unit 1 and now we're on to Unit 2. Hopefully you've read the instructions. You'll see this one's a little bit different. This is what I call an argument/expository essay. I'm going to explain a little bit what I mean by that, and also go over a few of the finer points of this particular assignment. So, follow me. First, I'm going to bring up the Unit 2 instruction sheet. Here we go. You'll notice the theme is, well, that was unexpected. Now, don't feel too locked into this, but I wanted to give people a direction to go in with this essay. And sometimes I find that with argument essays or expository essays, the same topics will often pop up. I probably don't even need to tell you what they are. Marijuana, abortion, global warming, but you get the picture. It isn't that those subjects are bad, it's just that I've had a lot of them. So for this essay, I'm encouraging you to use your creativity and go in different directions. Hopefully you can find something that you're interested in that meets the criteria. And keep in mind, a good argument, expository topic, it doesn't have to be incredibly depressing. It can be fun. Some of my favorite topics for this assignment are often sports related or related to pop culture or history. So don't feel like you have to take on the most depressing problems of the world, although certainly that's an option if you decide to. Okay, so basically the difference between an expository and an argumentative essay is that exposition allows you to investigate a topic and give the reader a little bit of background on it as you are making your argument. So you'll definitely want to take one particular position and articulate that in your thesis statement, but you'll want to have a little bit of exposition in there too, where you investigate and give some background on the issue, whatever it is. Now, one of the things you may have noticed with this particular unit is, I'm going to scroll down, and you'll notice that this assignment requires you to write an annotated bibliography and to use what's called the CRAAP test. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but I'm going to walk you through it. First, let's talk about the annotated bibliography. Probably the easiest way to explain this is to give you an example. Now on Blackboard, under sample essays, you'll notice there is a sample essay for Unit 2, and it includes an annotated bibliography example. Now let me bring that up. Here's my lovely example here. And if I scroll to the end of the essay, you'll notice the works cited is a little bit more involved than your typical works cited. You can leave it, call it a works cited if you like, or you can call it an annotated bibliography. To break that down, annotation, you can think of it as, it's kind of rooted in the word here, annotate notes. You're basically making notes on your source. And a bibliography is just a fancy word for works cited. This is a list of the sources that you used. Now you need to use 5 sources for your essay. So for each of your 5 sources, you need to write an annotation for it. So here is your regular citation right here in MLA format. Looks lovely. And then right after that, you'll see there's a paragraph here. Now what's in this paragraph? Let me break it down. You have 2 to 3 sentences of summary, the key points. So in other words, if somebody asked you what this article was about, you could sum up the key points in 2 to 3 sentences. And that's what this author has done here. Right there. And I'll let you read that on your own. You'll notice this last sentence here is a little bit of explanation about how the source is used. So 1 to 2 sentences explaining the importance of the source for your argument. So a little bit of background. Now, when you do these annotations, I recommend that you write them before you even write your essay. So you're finding your sources and you're able to summarize them and figure out if you understand them before you employ them in your rough draft. And I think that'll make your rough draft process easier going. So that's your annotated bibliography. If you scroll through the example, I encourage you to read through these. You'll notice that you'll have these paragraphs for each of your citations. Now, to go back to the instructions, you'll notice there's also something called a CRAAP test. What is the CRAAP test? Well, let me bring up the example for that. I have the CRAAP test worksheet right here. Let me move this over. You'll notice CRAAP is an acronym, and it stands for Currency, Relevance, Authority, Accuracy, and Purpose. Now, when you write an argument essay or an argument expository essay, your sources become very important because you want to convince your reader that you are correct in your position. So you want to make sure that your sources are credible. Now, how do you tell a good source from a bad source? Well, you use your critical faculties, and you could use your CRAAP test worksheet and answer these following questions under each category. Currency refers to the timeliness of the information, meaning how recent was this written and or published, or is it hopelessly outdated? Just a key factor when deciding whether to use a source or not. So when was it published? Has it been revised? Is it current or out of date for your topic? So in other words, something could be a few years old and still might be relevant. You'll have to use your own judgment, but these are questions that you can ask that will help you decide whether to use the source or not. Let's go to the second category, relevance. The importance of the information for your needs. Does the information relate to your topic or answer your question? In other words, are you finding your source? Are you just using the first source that you find? Or are you consulting multiple sources and finding ones that truly relate to the topic at hand? Who is the intended audience? And is the information at an appropriate level? Meaning, you could find a source that has good information, but maybe it's meant for an elementary audience. Or, on the opposite end of the spectrum, it could be that your audience, that the journal article that you're finding is intended for a highly advanced audience, meaning it could have jargon that might be over your reader's head. So you have to employ what I call the Goldilocks principle and find the source that's just right. Have you looked at a variety, and would you be comfortable using this source for a research paper? This directly comes back to the relevance. Let's go down to the first A, authority, the source of the information. Very important. You want to know who wrote it or who published it at the very least. Sometimes you'll find a news article that doesn't have an author, but it's still coming from an organization that's well known and respected. That's fine. But certainly the more information you have on the source, the more you can figure out whether you want to use it or not. Are the author's credentials or organizational affiliations given, and what are they? In other words, are they qualified to write on that particular subject? Maybe they've studied that particular subject. Maybe they've written other books on it. Do a little Google search, find out who these authors are. And I think that'll give you just more information to work with. Is there contact information? Again, not always that you need it, but sometimes that's helpful. And then does the URL reveal anything about the author or source? Is it a .gov? Is it .con? .edu? That just gives you a little bit more of a sense of who created the source. Accuracy, the reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of the content. Where does it come from? This kind of goes into the investigation that you're doing with authority. Is the information supported by evidence? In other words, do they use and list their sources, and do those sources seem credible? The more, I guess, breadcrumbs you have to follow, the better. You can use that information to decide for yourself if you should use the source or not. Has the information been reviewed? I would say the highest quality sources go through gatekeepers, editors, people who fact check and verify the information. Now, you will never have 100% confidence that the source is absolutely and without doubt perfect and correct, but you want to get as much information as you can. And obviously having something that was published, that was reviewed, was edited, that gives you a little bit more security. Can you verify any of the information in another source? Anytime you can fact check through other sources, you can start to build a case for that source. Does the language or tone seem biased and free of emotion? Now, everyone has bias of some degree, and we can all get emotional. It's not like those things are bad. But if we can find good information that isn't overly emotional, that source will carry much more credibility. Are there spelling, grammar, or other typographical errors? I think there always will be to some degree, but if there are a lot of them, then you may want to find another source. Purpose, the reason the information exists. What is the purpose of the information? In other words, was it meant to educate, inform, entertain, sell things? For example, if I go to the Toyota Prius website to find information on hybrid cars, maybe I'm writing an essay on hybrid cars, it's not like the information is going to be incorrect, but they might weigh their information a little bit more heavily towards the positive because they're ultimately trying to sell you a product. Now, if you could find good information from an unbiased source, that would be all the much better. Do the author's sponsors make their intentions or purpose clear? Is the information fact, opinion, propaganda? Does the point of view appear objective and impartial? And are there political, ideological, religious, institutional, or personal biases? Now, we all have these to some degree, like I mentioned before when I was talking about language and tone. The thing is, it doesn't mean that the information's incorrect, but there could be a better source that isn't heavily colored. You want to think about, with your argument, winning over a skeptical reader. It's easy to preach to the choir, so to speak, but if you want to win over a skeptical reader, you have to think about what their objections might be. And they might be, they would prefer sources that aren't overly biased. So something to think about. If you can find the information in an unbiased source, that's the way to go. Now, these CRAAP test worksheets are found under links, I believe. And you'll want to do one for each of your sources to make sure that it's a credible source. So you can basically fill in information in these fields here. You can also put a numerical value if you like. This is just for your own sense of how you would rate it. There isn't a right or wrong answer here. Again, this is for your use, but there are points attached to it, so you'll want to complete these and turn them in with your essay. All right, I think I've covered the CRAAP test. If you have any questions about CRAAP or anything else, email me and let me know. And good luck, have a good day, and stay hydrated.